Welcome friends to another 40k video. Today we ask the question, should Games Workshop bring back all the Primarchs? Would that work or just be a repeat of the heresy? Let's talk about it. Two things I think must remain solid if this would happen. The Emperor must remain broken and on his throne, and Horus must remain dead. These are long-term law points and foundations of 40k in many ways and should not be moved. As for the rest, what can we learn from the way the law has been shaped so far? Each loyalist Primarch brought back, because I'll talk about them because I know that better. They have a very defined role. Rabute is Lord Commander of the Imperium, getting its wheels running smoothly, both there and on Ultramar, and then he goes off to lead his Indomitus crusade. He has a defined role. The Lion recently returned, has freed a small section in Imperial Nihilus, and whilst no doubt he'll go to Earth, at least I hope so, and meet his father and speak with the Rabute, the Lion has managed to carve out a safe area within Imperial Nihilus, and says that his father made him a warlord, but he wants to go back to hunting the enemy, hunting prey, and doing that to protect the innocent. So with more loyalist and traitor marines coming back, what could it look like? Is there room for them all? And what stops this just being a repeat of the heresy? I think the most compelling aspect with each loyalist return for me has been them waking up to see their father's dream in tatters. The father who didn't want to be worshipped is worshipped. The technology that they were going to use to push things forward is now falling and decaying, as is the Imperium as a whole, and that they would now want to try and halt the Imperium's decay or defeat without causing a civil war, taking on their father's legacy of a dying Imperium and fighting the traitor sons who oppose that, and the Xenos that want to see the Imperium burn. I find that a very compelling idea. Let's say the traitor Primarchs continue to return, which is easier within the universe and the law to apply. And then we have the loyalists. Let's look at them and where they are one by one. So the first is Chagatai Khan, who I've recently come to really like after reading the Scars novel. Currently he's classed as being missing in the webway, so I think that's a fairly easy fix to bring him back. Rogel Dawn is classed as being missing in action. That's pretty vague, and I don't see any reason that that's not an easy solution to bring him back. Corvus Corax is in the Eye of Terror hunting Lorgar and the other traitor Primarchs. So maybe move Lorgar out from the Eye of Terror and to be active in the universe, and Corax can follow. Ferrus Manus was also killed by Fulgrim, and both he and Sanguinius will be harder to bring back, but not impossible. If you subscribe to the theory that all Primarchs are warped spirits, in which case they need a body, and the only man who can perhaps make a body for them, in the way that the Emperor did, will be Belisarius Cawl, perhaps guided by the Emperor in some way, to make the bodies and make use of forbidden magic so that they can return. Bit of a stretch, but we will go deeper into plot contrivances otherwise. Cawl has placed the organ dubbed the Amplifier, which is half of a Primarch organ called the Immortis Gland in the Primarchs Space Marines, so he knows a little in that vein. Vulcan was lost after the War of the Beast when he detonated a generator, and of course this means nothing for Vulcan, who can regenerate from anything, so a fairly easy one to bring back in again. Leman Russ has a very intriguing potential story looking for the Tree of Life to restore the Master of Mankind. He could come back based on that, and likely be confronted by Magnus to continue their ongoing and very exciting to me rivalry. All the forces of the Warp will be against Russ. Then on the traitor side we have Mortarion, Magnus, Angron around. We have had hints in the law for Lorgar and Fulgrim as well. As I said, Chaos, pretty easy to just throw them back into the mix when required. Perturabo, we don't know too much of what he's doing, but again, pretty easy to bring back. We have Conrad Kurz, who was in quotes killed. Very easy to unwind that, and perhaps the most intriguing of the traitor Primarchs, Alpharius Omegon, in terms of what intriguing plots have they been up to. Time will tell. Just look at the list, you can see some compelling story ideas for their returns. Jagatai and Magnus would just be interesting in general to me, as Jagatai saw Magnus as an echo of his brother on Prospero after its fall in the novel Scars. Lorgar, seeing his want for the Emperor to be worshipped actually come true, with even some of the Space Marines worshipping the Emperor. That conversation with the Rabute would be very tasty. And the Rabute, of course, has read his brother's book now to try and understand what's going on with the Emperor in the modern Imperium. And there are lots of other compelling examples pairing different brothers together and playing on their heresy history. Then think of all the other possible storylines that could be picked up in 40k. Dante finding, meeting, and fighting with his beloved father at last. Sanguinius talking about the time he met the Silent King and perhaps going out to fight him. Abaddon confronting those his gene father failed to stop. Some of the Primarchs learning about things their father did not tell them about, like the Ordo Sinister, or giving the Dark Angel weapons from the Dark Age of technology. And with the Primarchs being taken out of the heresy plot at various points, for example, Ferrus Manus would have a lot of plot and a lot of things to learn that could develop his character over the 10,000 plus years that he missed. What do the Primarchs think about what has happened to their legions in their absence, say the Lion and the Dark Angel's pursuit of the Fallen? These can be interesting changes in dynamics and developments whilst retaining the main flavour and storylines for the different legions. Because, of course, we're never going to get something like Magnus turning good or Sanguinius turning fully dark. I just don't see that in the future for 40k. It needs to keep some basic elements to keep the fans happy, which is quite right, really. So I'm surprising myself by saying the answer is yes. If they can all have their own compelling sandboxes to operate in, why not? It can be done, but it depends on how it's done. So that approach is one that would work for me. What do you think? What interesting storylines could make it work for you? Or wouldn't it work for you, and why not? Let me know in the comments below.